My sister stole the money I saved for my daughter's surgery, saying, "She'll be fine," and flew to Vegas. A week later, her pleas flooded my phone. "I'll pay it back, please." But I'd already sued and moved on. Her betrayal woke me up. Now she's drowning in debt, and I'm building a future for my girl. Her regrets are empty. My revenge is protecting what's mine. She'll never hurt us again. Look, I never thought I'd be writing this story, but here we are. Sometimes family betrays you in ways that cut so deep you question everything you thought you knew about loyalty and trust. This is about my sister, my daughter, and $15,000 that changed everything between us forever. My daughter, Emma, was born with a cleft palate. Not the worst thing in the world, but it needed surgical correction when she turned 3. The doctors at Children's Hospital were amazing, explaining how the procedure would help her eat better, speak clearer, and just live without the challenges she'd been facing. Insurance covered most of it, but we were still looking at a hefty chunk of change for the specialized work. For 2 years, I worked double shifts at the diner, picked up weekend catering gigs, sold everything I didn't absolutely need. I'm talking garage sales, Facebook Marketplace, even donated plasma twice a week for 6 months. My hands were cracked from all the dish soap. My feet ached from standing 14 hours straight, but every dollar went into that savings account. $15,000. It might as well have been $15 million for how hard I worked to get it. My sister Lisa knew about Emma's condition from day one. She'd seen the struggles, the feeding issues, the speech delays, the way other kids would stare sometimes. She'd even helped with a few babysitting gigs here and there, though she always had some excuse to duck out early. Lisa was the fun aunt who brought McDonald's Happy Meals and Disney movies, but never stuck around for the real work. 3 weeks before Emma's scheduled surgery, Lisa showed up at my apartment looking like she'd been hit by a truck. Her usually perfect makeup was smudged, her designer handbag clutched like a lifeline. She'd been living beyond her means for years. Credit cards maxed out, car payments behind, rent money spent on clothes, and nights out. The whole house of cards was finally tumbling down. "I need help," she said, collapsing onto my thrift store couch. "Just a loan. I'll pay you back in 2 months, I swear on Mom's grave." I explained about Emma's surgery, how every penny was already spoken for. Lisa's face went through this progression, understanding, disappointment, then something that looked almost like calculation. She nodded, said she understood, hugged us both goodbye. I should have seen it coming, but blood makes you stupid sometimes. The next morning, I went to check the balance on Emma's surgery account. 0. Not low, not reduced, completely empty. My hands shook as I called the bank, thinking there had to be some mistake. The automated system confirmed what my heart already knew. One withdrawal, $15,000 made with my debit card, the card that had been in my purse, the purse that had been sitting on my kitchen counter when Lisa visited. I called her phone 17 times. It went straight to voicemail. Her landlord said she'd left town suddenly, something about a family emergency. Her coworkers at the boutique said she'd called in sick. It was like she'd vanished into thin air, taking Emma's future with her. Update. Holy cow, you guys. The response to this has been incredible. I'm reading every comment and message, and honestly, your support is keeping me going right now. A lot of you are asking what happened next and whether I called the police immediately. I did, but it gets complicated when it's family and they technically had access to your card. The real question is, what would you do if your own sister stole from your child's medical fund? Because what I did next surprised even me. 2 days later, Lisa's Instagram lit up with Vegas photos. The Bellagio fountain. Overpriced cocktails at some rooftop bar. Her and 3 friends living it up like they were celebrating something huge. The comments were full of heart emojis and living your best life garbage. I screenshotted everything, my blood pressure probably spiking enough to land me in the same hospital where Emma was supposed to have surgery. She'd taken my daughter's money and turned it into a party. Not rent money, not groceries, not even something desperate. A vacation. A celebration. While I sat in my apartment calculating how long it would take to save up another $15,000, she was probably dropping hundreds on room service and slot machines. The police report was filed that afternoon. Theft, fraud, whatever charges they could make stick. I learned a lot about family law that week. Turns out it's not as simple as, she stole from me when you're related and there's a history of financial help. But I had the bank records, the Instagram photos, and a paper trail that showed exactly what happened to Emma's surgery money. My lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Margaret who specialized in family disputes, laid out the options. Civil suit for damages, criminal charges for theft, maybe even fraud, depending on how Lisa had accessed the account. The whole thing would take months, maybe years, but she was confident we could recover the money plus costs. The question, Margaret said, is whether you want to pursue this knowing it will probably destroy your relationship with your sister permanently. I looked at Emma, who was playing with blocks on the office floor, completely unaware that her surgery had been postponed indefinitely. The speech therapist said every month we waited would make the recovery process longer. The feeding issues weren't getting better on their own. She already destroyed it, I said. Lisa finally called on day 5 of her Vegas adventure. I was at work, carrying plates of meatloaf and mashed potatoes to truckers who tipped in singles, when my phone buzzed. With her name, I almost didn't answer. "Hey sis," she said, like nothing had happened. There was casino noise in the background, the electronic chiming of slot machines. "How's my favorite niece? You have 10 seconds to tell me where my money is. Look, I know you're mad, but I can explain. I was desperate, okay? I hit a rough patch, and I knew you'd understand. I'm already up $3 grand at the poker tables, so technically I'm making you money." I hung up and blocked her number. The next morning, Margaret filed the civil suit. Lisa was served with papers at her hotel room, according to the process server. Apparently, she tried to claim she wasn't Lisa, then tried to slam the door, then finally accepted the documents while wearing a Caesar's Palace bathrobe. She started calling from different numbers after that. Friends' phones, hotel lobby phones, even a collect call from somewhere that sounded like an airport. I didn't answer any of them. Update. The lawsuit is moving forward, and I've had to make some tough decisions about Emma's care. You've all been asking for updates, and honestly, this community has been more supportive than my own family. Lisa's been trying to contact me through everyone we know, but here's the thing. Some bridges burned completely, and there's no going back. The crazy part is what happened when she finally made it home from Vegas. Spoiler alert, the gambling didn't go as well as she thought. The Instagram posts stopped abruptly on day 6. No more champagne glasses or casino chips, just silence. I found out later that Lisa had blown through the entire $15,000 in less than a week. Poker, blackjack, roulette. She'd managed to lose Emma's surgery money in every possible way, but it gets worse. She'd also maxed out her credit cards to extend the trip, taken cash advances, even borrowed money from loan sharks who apparently operate out of some of the smaller casinos. She came home to an eviction notice and repo. Men looking for her car. Margaret called with updates as they came in. Lisa had hired a public defender for the criminal charges, which meant she was officially broke. The civil suit was proceeding, but you can't get blood from a stone. Even if we won, collecting would be another battle entirely. I was working a double shift when Lisa finally cornered me. She showed up at the diner at 2 a.m. looking like she'd been sleeping rough. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes wrinkled, and she had that desperate look that meant she was about to ask for something I couldn't give. Please, she said, sliding into the booth across from me. I'll pay it back. I'll get a job, work extra hours, whatever it takes. Just drop the charges. Where's Emma's money? I lost it. I know that sounds bad, but I can make it right. I've learned my lesson. You lost my daughter's surgery money gambling. It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I was going to win big, pay you back with interest. I had a system. I poured coffee for the trucker at table 6, wiped down the counter, refilled the napkin dispensers. Lisa sat there for 2 hours, alternating between apologies and explanations and promises she couldn't keep. I never said another word to her. The criminal case moved slowly, but the civil suit was more promising. Margaret had managed to freeze Lisa's assets, what little she had left, and put liens on her future earnings. It wouldn't bring Emma's money back immediately, but it meant Lisa couldn't just walk away from what she'd done. Emma's surgery got rescheduled for 6 months later. The hospital was understanding about the circumstances, and the surgeon agreed to a payment plan that would let us proceed with partial funds up front. I picked up a third job, this time cleaning office buildings after midnight. My sleep schedule was basically non-existent, but we were moving forward. Lisa's life, meanwhile, was falling apart spectacularly. The eviction went through, forcing her to move back in with our aunt. The car got repossessed outside a grocery store, leaving her to figure out public transportation. Her job at the boutique ended when they found out about the legal troubles. Apparently, having an employee facing theft charges was bad for business. She tried reaching out through Emma's daycare, our old neighbors, even the mailman. Everyone had the same message. I wanted nothing to do with her. The trust was gone, burned up in Vegas, along with my daughter's future. Margaret called with good news on a Tuesday. Lisa had agreed to a settlement that would recover about 60% of the stolen money over the next 5 years. It wasn't everything, but it was something. More importantly, it was admission of guilt that would help with the criminal case. She's desperate, Margaret said. No income, no assets, facing jail time. This settlement might be the only way she avoids prison. I signed the papers that afternoon. Update. You all wanted to know how this ends, so here's the final update. The settlement came through, Emma's surgery was successful, and Lisa, well, let's just say karma has a way of evening things out. Some of you have been asking if I feel bad about what happened to her, and I want to address that. Also, there's been a development with Emma that I think you'll all appreciate. It turns out standing up for your kids sometimes leads to the best possible outcome. Emma's surgery was scheduled for a crisp October morning. I'd saved enough for the down payment, and the hospital payment plan covered the rest. She was nervous, but excited, asking a million questions about the sleepy medicine and whether she'd be able to eat ice cream afterward. The procedure took 4 hours. I wore out the waiting room carpet, drank terrible coffee, and answered work emails to keep my mind busy. When Dr. Rodriguez finally appeared, still in his scrubs, the smile on his face told me everything I needed to know. Perfect, he said. Absolutely perfect. She's going to heal beautifully. Emma woke up asking for chocolate ice cream and wanting to see her new mouth in a mirror. The improvement was immediate and dramatic. Within weeks, she was eating foods she'd never been able to handle before. Her speech became clearer every day. The confidence that came with these changes was worth more than any amount of money. Lisa tried to visit during Emma's recovery. She showed up at the hospital with a teddy bear and what looked like a prepared speech about family and forgiveness. Security escorted her out when I asked them to. Some doors, once closed, stay closed. The criminal case concluded with Lisa pleading guilty to theft charges. She got probation, community service, and a criminal record that would follow her for years. The civil settlement payments started coming in, small amounts, but regular. Every check got deposited into Emma's college fund. Margaret called with one final update 6 months later. Lisa had moved 3 states away, apparently to live, with some distant relatives who didn't know about her legal troubles. She'd found work at a gas station, minimum wage, no benefits. The garnishment on her wages would continue for the next 4 years. She asked me to tell you she's sorry, Margaret said. Did you tell her anything back? I told her the settlement agreement spoke for itself. Life settled into a new normal. Emma thrived after her surgery, catching up on developmental milestones she'd missed. I kept working multiple jobs, but now it was building toward something positive instead of just trying to stay afloat. The college fund grew slowly but steadily. I never responded to Lisa's Christmas cards or birthday wishes. Her attempts to reconnect through social media were blocked. When mutual acquaintances asked about the situation, I kept my response simple. Family doesn't steal from children's medical funds. 2 years later, Emma started kindergarten with clear speech and a bright smile. Her teacher pulled me aside during the first parent conference to say she'd never seen a child with such resilience and determination. The challenges she'd overcome had made her stronger, not weaker. She talks about you constantly, the teacher said. How hard you work, how much you love her. You've raised an incredible little girl. I never heard from Lisa again after that last settlement payment. Social media showed a carefully curated life in her new state, generic inspirational quotes, photos of sunsets, nothing that revealed the reality of her situation. The mutual friends who'd initially pressured me to forgive and forget had moved on to other drama. Emma's now 7, thriving in 2nd grade, and dreams of becoming a doctor herself someday. She doesn't remember much about the surgery or the circumstances that led to it. To her, it's just a story from when she was little, back when eating certain foods was hard and talking took extra effort. Sometimes people ask if I regret pursuing the legal action against my sister, if I wish I'd handled things differently, tried to work it out within the family, found a way to forgive and move forward. The answer is always the same. I protected my daughter's future from someone who proved they couldn't be trusted with it. Lisa made her choice when she stole from a child's medical fund for a Vegas vacation. I made mine when I chose Emma's well-being over family loyalty. Some people might call it harsh, but I call it being a mother. The money she stole was supposed to give Emma a better life. In the end, standing up to the person who stole it accomplished the same thing. Emma learned that her mother would fight for her no matter what. She learned that actions have consequences, that trust has to be earned, and that sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones you need protection from. Lisa's living with the consequences of her choices just like I'm living with mine. The difference is, I can look my daughter in the eye and know I did right by her. I chose her over everyone else, including family who didn't deserve that consideration. That's a trade I'd make again in a heartbeat. Some bridges are worth burning if it means protecting what matters most. Emma's future was worth more than my relationship with someone who would steal from a child. Every settlement payment that came in, every milestone Emma reached, every night I slept peacefully knowing I'd stood up for my daughter, it all confirmed I'd made the right choice. They say blood is thicker than water, but sometimes water runs cleaner. Emma and I built something stronger than family obligation. We built trust, respect, and a future that no one could take away from us. Lisa's regrets are her own to carry. My job was never to make her feel better about what she'd done. My job was to protect my daughter and teach her that she's worth fighting for, no matter who stands in the way. Mission accomplished.